I finished my probation for 7 years, and also I paid for the restitutions. Why I still be deported?
How am I going to manage all of these things that are facing me right now? Ravi's in detention, bills to pay, food, just day-to-day living. How am I going to manage this with Ravi not here?
Where am I going to live? My husband's from Guyana, and I'm from Trinidad. If you want to deport him, where's going to be our new home? Where is home? Because you're splitting my family right now. My husband's in jail. I'm here. And what's going to happen with us? Where do I go from there?
Welcome to Melting the Ice, Derritiendo el Hielo, a bilingual radio series dedicated to sharing stories of how U.S. immigration and customs enforcement is impacting families across the U.S., unpacking how the system works and who is profiting, and to sharing information and strategies about how people are fighting back. We hope this radio broadcast will reach people currently inside ICE detention centers. If you are listening right now from detention, we want to send you our special greetings, our love, solidarity, and respect. We want you to know that you are not alone and that there are people out here fighting for you and with you. You can write us at Melting the Ice, P.O. Box number 202981, New Haven, Connecticut 06520. Again, that's Melting the Ice, P.O. Box number 202981, New Haven, CT 06520. We would love to know if you are listening and what information would be most useful for you. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas a Derritiendo el Hielo, una serie de radio dedicada a compartir historias de cómo el sistema de inmigración está impactando a familias en todos los Estados Unidos, desarmando los mecanismos del sistema actual, quién se beneficia y compartiendo información y estrategias de cómo la gente está luchando. Soy su anfitrión, Luis Luna, y gracias por acompañarnos. Esperamos que esta transmisión de radio llegue a las personas que actualmente se encuentran en los centros de detención de ICE. Si está escuchando ahora desde detención, queremos enviarle nuestros saludos especiales, nuestro amor, solidaridad y respeto. Queremos que sepan que no están solos y solas y que hay personas que luchan por usted y con usted. Nos pueden escribir a Derritiendo el Hielo, P.O. Box número 202981, New Haven, CT 06520. Otra vez, Derritiendo el Hielo, P.O. Box número 202981, New Haven, CT 06520. Nos encantaría saber si está escuchando y qué información sería la más útil para usted. Al final de este episodio, transmitiremos el segmento en español. Sigan con nosotros. My name is Luis Luna. I'm an organizer, activist, radio programmer, and immigrant. I moved to the US from Ecuador when I was 13 years old, and I've been part of the immigrant rights movement for over 10 years. I've seen how immigration, detention, and deportation is impacting my community. And while the U.S. mainstream media focuses overwhelmingly on Mexican and Central American immigrants, we know that ICE targets Black and Brown immigrant communities from around the world, not only the Latinx community. In this episode, we share the story of Tony Chen. Tony is a restaurant manager in New York City. He is the father of 3 young New Yorkers, a husband and loved community member. Tony was born in China, and he's a lawful permanent resident, aka he has a green card. But a few years ago, Tony was ripped apart from his family for something he had done in the past. In the summer of 2015, 7 years after committing a non-violent financial crime, and shortly after completing 5 years of probation, immigration officials suddenly appeared on Tony's doorstep at the crack of dawn. They plucked him from his home and family and placed him in immigration detention. He was sent to the Bergen County Jail in Hackensack, New Jersey, for pending deportation proceedings. Tony was shocked that a crime he had already atoned for, a crime for which he had received no jail time, could now place him in detention and threaten to break his family apart. In a minute, we'll hear Tony tell his story in his own words.
So as soon as they sent me to the Bergen County jail, and then, during so many hours, I talked to the other peoples at that time. They were so surprised. They said, "You don't even have a 1 day in the jail. How come they deport you?" I don't know how to describe it. Just at that time, I just feel like I'm going to lose anything.
But first, some background. Because Tony's story is now unique. What happened to Tony must be traced back to immigration laws passed in 1996 under the Clinton administration that radically changed how the U.S. immigration system operates today. The 1996 immigration bill, called the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, or IRA for short, made more people vulnerable to detention and deportation than ever before. Prior to 1996, documented immigrants convicted of certain crimes could face deportation. But under the new laws, Congress drastically expanded the definition of what counts as an aggravated felony, making one eligible for deportation. And it made these changes retroactive. All of a sudden, people who had already paid the price for a crime committed years or even decades earlier, including people who had never even been sentenced to serve jail or prison time through the U.S. criminal justice system, were now eligible for deportation. In short, these laws have had the effect of making detention and deportation a new additional penalty for immigrants who have had even relatively minor contact with the U.S. criminal justice system. Organizers and legal experts see the 1996 laws as the beginning of our current crimmigration system, a system that, alongside the growth of the U.S. prison system, has exploded the number of people incarcerated in the U.S. today. This new system also allows local law enforcement agencies to enforce federal immigration laws. Thirdly, enmeshing these two systems, our immigration system and our criminal justice system, in new and unprecedented ways. And yet, despite this connection, deportation is considered a civil, not criminal proceeding. This means that people held in ICE detention centers facing deportation do not have the right to a government-appointed attorney, and, in most cases, they are not able to post bail. They are also not given a sentence, but are placed in custody indefinitely, primarily housed in U.S. jails and prisons. And most must stay there for months or even years in order to fight their case and resist deportation. It wasn't always like this. Before the 1996 laws, deportation was a relatively rare occurrence, but what was once considered extreme has now become routine. In 1996, before IRA was signed into law, the United States deported 70,000 immigrants. After its passage, this number quickly quintupled, ballooning to over 400,000 in 2012 alone, under the Obama administration. And in our current political climate of extreme anti-immigrant sentiment and ever-expanding budgets for border security and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, these old laws are now being enforced at higher and higher rates, impacting more and more families. For Tony, these laws were triggered when, after completing his probation, he took a trip out of the country to Canada to attend his nephew's graduation. It was this trip, leaving the U.S. and re-entering the U.S., that caused ICE agents to show up at his doorstep. Once Tony was detained in the Bergen County Jail, he faced an impossible choice: to stay in detention indefinitely, possibly for years, in order to take the chance on fighting his case, during which time he would be unable to work and provide for his family, or to take an order of deportation, leaving his wife and 3 children behind in the U.S. This is the impossible choice that thousands of families in the U.S. are facing every day. Our producer, Sylvia Ryerson, talked to Tony to learn more about his story and how he navigated this decision.
Okay, well, Tony, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And to begin, would you just introduce yourself and tell us where you live?
My name's Ken Wen Chen, and also called Tony Chen. I live in New York, in Brooklyn, Avenue U. I was born in Guangzhou, China in 1969.
And tell me a little bit about your journey here to the United States. How old were you when you first came here, and where did you first live?
I came to United States on 1999. I was 28 years old. And the first place is in Chinatown. I live with my parents-in-law. And then when my wife came with my son, and I moved to Brooklyn. And since then, I live in Brooklyn area until now.
So how many years have you lived here in the United States?
Until now, it's 20 years.
How old was your son when he came?
He was almost 5 months. Yeah, he was born in May, and then they came in September. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your family. I know you have 2 other children, too. And how old are they now?
Yeah, I have 3 children. Jimming is my son. He's the elder one. And then the second is Captain Chen. She's 18 now, and then she's studying at LaGuardia Art High School. She's going to graduate this year and go to the college next year. And then my youngest daughter is Kelly Chen, and she's 16 now, and she studied in Monroe High School. My wife, Tracy Chen, she is a teacher assistant right now, and yeah, that's all my family now. Yeah.
So can you take us back to 2008 and what happened with your original case?
Okay, and before I received a sentence, took 2 years. I was arrested on 2008.